ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया कृतैर्यद्धयतो विष्णु हृदयां यजते मखे द्वापरे परिचर्यायां कलौ तद्धरिकीर्तनात्. In other ages, the Yuga Dharma of each age was practiced by the Lord Himself. The Lord, yada yada hi dharmasya glani comes, whenever there is necessity to establish the Dharma. In the Satya Yuga, the Dharma to be established was meditation, tapasya. The Lord incarnated and revealed the Vedas in the Hayagriva avatar, as well as Naranarayan Rishi, who performed personally their tapasya to set the example. In Treta Yuga, when people became little less advanced, then the Yuga Dharma was performance of Vedic Yajna, and the Lord appeared as the Yajna Purush in red incarnation. In Dwapar Yuga, when people became still less advanced, then the necessity of paraphernalia of deity worship, and the Lord Krishna established Himself as the worshipable object. In Kali Yuga, other people have fallen now, that there is hardly in the majority of the world even a conception of God. Yet the Yuga Dharma is by chanting the holy name. And by chanting the holy name, which does not require any other paraphernalia from the material side, simply the utterance of the holy name itself, one can get the fruit of meditation, of sacrifice, and of deity worship simply by chanting the holy name. But there are offenses to be avoided, and one must be very careful and cautious to avoid these offenses. The 10 offenses are described in the Padma Purana. I've given them in another place. I have an article. Prabhupada has also delineated them in Nectar of Devotion and in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You all know them. So when one chants the name with offense, then such chanting is in the clearing stage. One has to become cleared of the offenses. If one continues knowingly to commit offense, then the holy name will lose its potency. And such chanting of the holy name by constant, again, committing of offenses renders the name useless. Renders the name without any effect for such person. Just like you can have 2 pills, aspirin and arsenic. They will look the same, but one creates a poisonous effect and the other has a curing effect. In the same way, there may be many preachers who are preaching Hare Krishna. It may sound the same, they may look the same, but one must see his behavior, his acharan, his behavior, to see whether he is committing offenses side by side with his chanting. So such chanting, Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, is as good as reciting alphabet. There's no use. Still, if one goes on chanting, the way to rectify a nama parad is nirantara harinam, to constantly chant the holy name, to sit down in repentant mood and chant Hare Krishna constantly. Then the effect of the Harinam will again help to purify. Nowadays in the modern society, they are trying to make a peaceful society, but they do not know the process. Within their own heart, within their own consciousness, there is no peace. Therefore, externally, there is no peace. So one cannot set foot anywhere in this material world because padam apadam idadavi padam. There is danger everywhere. Nobody knows the proper course of action because their consciousness is diluted by intoxication, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, personal interest, all of them. So the best and only solution to the world's problem, to the problem of the jiva to become released from the material world, for the problem of the whole society in general, is to chant Hare Krishna. How that effect? Chaito darpanamarjanam, that it cleanses the consciousness. We cannot see anything clearly, just like if water is all dirty. If you have dropped something in the water, a valuable ring, if the water is all being kicked up and the mud is being kicked up, then you can't see anything. So you say, don't move the water. Let it settle down. Then you can find out. So the process of cleansing the mind, just like to purify water, they put alum in water. All the dust in the water sinks to the bottom by putting alum. Science? Is that a fact? Yes. PhD in science, chemistry. If you put alum in water, in muddy water, the mud will, it becomes emulsified, all the dust sinks to the bottom. If you again shake it, then the dust will kick up. So don't shake it. After chanting the holy name, do not commit offense and shake up the dust again. When the dust is all settled, then the water is crystal clear. The Chaito Darpanamarjanam, that Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam, it puts out the fire that is burning this sansar. We are all burning. This material body is burning. We are eating food, fueling, the fuel for the fire, and it is burning out this body. We are burning for our existence. We are burning for that existence. We are living in the material world is basis of sex life. That is also burning. It is the fire of lust. The woman is like fire, the man is like butter. So we are all burning in this material world. The enjoyment that is derived from this will create a person to struggle for existence in horrible condition of life, horrible, gruesome toil he will do simply for the slight enjoyment of sex desire. So that burning fire is put out by the rain cloud of chanting Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That ecstasy that puts out this material fire. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Sreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. It spreads the light of knowledge. Then when one's heart is settled from lust and ignorance, and the ignorance, the dust and sins have been erased from the mind, then knowledge can enter. Sreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Vidya Vidu Jivanam. It is the life of this transcendental knowledge. And then Anandam Bhudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. We can taste step by step more and more nectarian bliss. In the material world there is happiness, and then it is left with despair. So the desire for more happiness comes. Then more is necessary to achieve the same happiness. Then again, that does not give us the same happiness. So one is entangled in a great phantasmagoria of activity to try to squeeze out some happiness from an already suffering world. Dukhalaya asasvatam. The material world is full of suffering. When the jivatma is enmeshed in a material body, there must be pain. And we're trying to get pleasure. So it's an incompatible situation. So pleasure in the material world is always decreasing. But pleasure of transcendental knowledge is always increasing. Padama padam. Step by step. Purnamrita swadanam. Drinking a great draught of nectar. Sarvaatma snapanam. It bathes the living entity, all living entities. Jivanam, sarvatma, Atma, according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are 7 different meanings of Atma. In the Atma Rama Sloka, Atma is interpreted 7 different ways. The mind, the endeavor, karma, the soul, Krishna, all of these things mean Atma. So all of these things become revealed, purified, ecstatic, Saravatma. And also Atma means the Jivatma, so all Atma, Saravatma. Saravatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. That is the glory, all glories to this Nama Sankirtana. That is inaugurated at this place, and from here it is now spread all over the world by the grace of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The full mercy of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, which is here, Hare Krishna, is upon him to spread this movement as predicted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prithivite ache jato nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoibe mona. The hoche, sarvatra prachar hoche mona, has been. That has already been spread all over the world. Hare Krishna. Bangadanga, the hill, this high ground where the Kazi's men came in and broke the mridangas, because here was where Srivas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had their Kirtan, and it raised, just like we get all over the world, the next door neighbors, they hurl abuses. Once Bhavananda Maharaj requested Prabhupada, said there's so many complaints coming. Prabhupada said, we are getting this complaint since 500 years. Everywhere we go, we are getting abuses, gunshots, rocks, Molotov cocktails. So here also there was Molotov cocktail. There was a bag of meat thrown at the door of Srivas Angan by one of them. That you are not Brahmins. They tried to defile the house. One so-called Brahmin tried to defile the building by throwing a big meat right by the door. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came out, he stepped over and walked off. Later on, that Brahmin became completely affected with leprosy. So when he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he fell at his feet. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have not offended me, you have offended Srivas. You have offended him. So you must surrender to him. So Srivas told him, now you must praise all the devotees. So he wrote the Bhakti Ratnakar. This is Narahari Sarkar. This Brahmin, and he wrote the qualities of all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees. It's a big book. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as I said, revealed himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he revealed all the forms of the avatars as well as his own golden avatar form, and he called all of his devotees one by one. He called before him Haridas Thakur. That I know when you were chanting, the Kazi's men arrested you and brought you before the Hussain Shah, the Nawab. Then there was some argument. Haridas Thakur had said, the Nawab said, so you have become Hindu. And Haridas Thakur said, many Mohammedans have become, many Hindus have become Mohammedans, so if one Mohammedan becomes a Hindu, what is the harm? Then the Nawab became furious at that. You must stop. Haridas Thakur mentioned, Khande khande ei deho jadi jai pran, tabu ami vadane nachare harinam. If my body is cut to pieces, if there is one spark of life left in it, I will never stop chanting Hare Krishna. So the Nawab said, then have him beaten in all the bazaars, in public, until he's dead. So Haridas Thakur went out chanting Hare Krishna. And the Nawab's men were beating him, but he was in ecstasy chanting Hare Krishna. Finally, at the end, you know the story. The Nawab's men said, if you do not die, then the Nawab will kill us. He said, oh, then by my living, I'm putting you in trouble. Vaishnava is paradukha dukhi. He feels for the other person's difficulty, even his own tormentors. He was compassionate upon. So, all right, then I will die. So he went into samadhi, lifeless. And they brought his body to the Nawab. He said, okay, he's not Hindu, he is not Mohammedan, just throw him in the river. He was thrown in the river and he swam off to Shantipur. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed, yes, they were beating you, but you did not feel anything because I have accepted the beating on my body. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his back was all cut by the canes of the Nawabs. Haridas Thakur fell prostrated. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, ask for some boon. Now I'm here to give you any benediction. He said, I only want your causeless, loving devotion that your name will dance on my tongue forever. Here in Srivasanga. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for Srivas himself. He said, you were put into difficulty by some Mohammedans also. They were chasing you. And you came to the river, there was no boat, but I came as a boatman. And I took you in my boat and you paid me with the shirt off your back. But I appeared there. So, I have saved you then also. Then there was Mukunda, the singer and mridanga player, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said no. They asked him, Srivas asked him, you are not calling Mukunda for any benediction. And Mukunda goes to others also. He goes to the Mayavadis, he goes to the Sajiyas, he goes to the Brahmins, he goes sometimes here, sometimes there. So, if he wants to see me, he can see me after 1,000,000 births. Then Mukunda from outside heard this and he started dancing, Hare Krishna. Someday I will see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is assured. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, all right, come. You are all ready. By this desire, that someday you will see, that hope the hope of seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is the same. To develop the desire. By our desire we can have our liberation, by the desire we can have bondage. It is by greediness that we make spiritual progress. By being greedy. If you are greedy for material sense gratification, you get it. And if you want spiritual advancement, you must be greedy for it. You must want it more than anything else. The Sahajis, they say, oh, this path is easy. Simply you have to desire it. You have to desire it more than anything else. Krishna. Hare Krishna. There aren't enough mridangas for mridanga. Simply to express our inspiration. Fancy artistic work, we can get a hired man. But to play with inspiration, that is better than fancy artistic playing without bhakti, without vibration. So simply play mridanga. The best lesson to give in mridanga playing is to play with sincerity and to increase madhura mridanga bhaje paramarasa, to make param inspiration in kirtan. If you can play like that, that is the best mridanga lesson. Radha Krishna bol bolo Kesava